Make sure to speak in your microphone.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We are back in open session. Is there a motion to appoint Matt Bathke to the position of firefighter paramedic for the Wausau Fire Department?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Send our congratulations to Matt Bathke. All right. There are no general agenda items. So next up, we have monthly presentations, and we will start with the monthly presentation of the Fire Department operations with Chief Kopp. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for your time today. First bullet point on the monthly presentation is department updates. First and foremost, a real quick update. As you all are well aware, we've had a severe injury on one of our fire scenes this past week with one of our firefighters. At this moment, we are going through plenty of recovery updates, doctor's appointments, and we are hopeful for a full recovery in the weeks to come. So that's the update right now that I can give on one of our firefighters. As far as the department goes, this week, starting actually last week Friday and going through this week, they are putting up the cubicle walls in dorm rooms in Central Station, and next week they'll be putting them up. This ambulance group will be putting them up at Station 3, giving us that privacy that we've needed for our firefighters for many years now and have moved forward. So Station 1 and Station 3 will have a new look here in the next week or two, and we'll be moving forward with that. We've also received our gear dryer and gear washer for Station 3, giving them the opportunity to be able to decon and clean their bunker gear and firefighter clothing after each fire call. So once that's the city electricians and the city I forget Leo's title. Sorry, can't. What is he? So they're working on that at Station 3. Update and discussion is the next one on the community care paramedic. We've pitched that position now to a couple committees. Tomorrow night we'll be moving that forward to the Finance Committee. If that passes through Finance Committee, we'll be going to next month's council meeting and hoping for moving forward on that. The community care paramedic position is one that we believe is innovative, something that's going to change, the health and safety of our citizens in the city of Wausau, and hopefully help our transport numbers as well as help our wait times in the ERs. That's a position that is way different than any other that we've looked at. We've tried something similar in years past. It didn't work, but we've learned a lot from it and redesigned this to be a full-time position that should make a lot of changes, and you'll see it going on in it's already going on in a lot of bigger departments throughout the state. And I think it's going to be a great tool for this community. So hopefully that moves forward, and I can give you an update in April on the success of that position. The third bullet point is the update on FDIC and the new ambulance. In April, there'll be 5 of us going to the largest fire department convention in the United States, and every year it's held in Indianapolis. This is the most people we've ever sent, but we're sending this many for a good reason. Our new ambulance that we've purchased from ERV, which is out of North Carolina, is going to be on display there, and we will be handing them a check and spending probably a day and a half or more going through it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that it meets all its specs and requirements, and we'll be driving it home from Indianapolis at the end of that convention. So super excited for FDIC and the ability to send as many officers as we are to that and bringing back a brand new ambulance, with the second new ambulance being due from the same company in November. Fourth and final bullet point would be an update on recruitment and retention. As you all were just involved in, we just brought one more to PFC. Next month we have another one slated to come to PFC. We still are down a couple positions, unfortunately, so we are starting another recruitment process with HR to get going here, hopefully in the next day or two, and probably run for 3 or 4 weeks. The bad news side of recruitment and retention is we've had 2 firefighter paramedics resign. One's last day is today, the other is later this week. They're moving to different departments for personal reasons, family reasons, and I was given notice by a veteran firefighter paramedic that they will be leaving here come June. So as much as we're bringing these on one at a time and getting closer to our goal, we find ourselves spinning a little bit as of late. So hopefully that ends and we can keep recruiting and keep retaining our firefighter paramedics and move forward, getting closer to that goal of 74 employees. So any questions on any of those updates?
Jeremy, what's the cost of that ambulance?
$435,000.
Wow.
Yeah, about twice as much, well, actually more than twice as much as when I got hired here when we were buying ambulances
Is
20 years ago.
Is that because of technology or the way things are?
We could have went with the cheaper ambulance, probably saved maybe, and these are guessing numbers, but $60,000 to $70,000. But since we became CAS accredited, we wanted to make sure we bought an ambulance that followed all CAS accreditation. There aren't as many manufacturers as you would think out there that meet all the CAS accreditation standards. This is one company that does, as well as our committee that we put together and the feedback that we're getting from our firefighter paramedics that we absolutely needed in the Wausau area to move back to a diesel engine compared to the gas engines that we were using with our hills and different obstacles that we have in the city. So that was 2 huge weighing factors, was CAS accreditation as well as the diesel engines.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Our gratitude from the commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, the monthly presentation of the police department operations. Good morning, Chief Barnes.
Good morning. We're going to stick with our plan, and in a few moments you'll hear from Captain Seiler about his bureau at the police department and the things that are going on in there. Just a couple of updates. Last month I talked to you about the challenges with the unhoused population in Wausau, and I just wanted to update you on some of the things that have occurred since then. Prior to that, I had asked CW Solutions, which is a housing provider working with low-income individuals in this community, to put together a program for transitional housing for unhoused women. They did that. It's an excellent program, and we're working with the mayor's office and the rest of city staff to try and get funding. It costs $500,000 a year to run, and nobody has $500,000 they want to give us. So we're seeking some federal support. Spent the last week putting together that proposal to see if we can get dollars in the next budget. Additionally, we recognize the need for utilizing a specialized team that can devote all of their attention to our downtown area and that population. I just want to make a couple things clear that maybe haven't been clear or some individuals have been critical of. We're going to enforce all the laws and ordinances of this community and the state of Wisconsin and the standards of the entire population of Wausau. All of our citizens are going to be held to the same standard. I think there's some individuals in this community that are very critical of us not accepting someone's housing status as an excuse to behave poorly or to diminish the quality of life in Wausau, and that's just something that I don't believe in. And so we are moving forward with that application process. It will go to the HR. It's been through Public Health and Safety. It passed that committee. It will be going to both Human Resources and Finance committees in about 2 weeks, ideally with a council vote to allow us to expand our authorized staffing level to 81 from 79 on April 9th. I'll be asking the city to fund the remainder of this year through ARPA dollars, and I have secured foundation funding at 100% for the year 2025 for those two officers. So about 2/3 of the total cost is through private dollars. None of these dollars touch the levy in Wisconsin or in Wausau as a result of the first third being ARPA and the last 2/3 being foundation dollars. One of the reasons I want to discuss this with you is I believe there's exigency to get this spun up and rolling. The potential exists that we have some individuals that I am certain will impress you because they do me. There is the opportunity to hire, if we can do it quickly, at least one individual in this community who, when I need counsel on how to set up and how to lead our officers in addressing unhoused issues, that's the individual I go to because they have the expertise, and the potential exists that we might be able to hire them if this moves forward. If that's the case, I'll have to ask you to be flexible with me in the expectations in the PFC manual in the hiring process, because I would like to expedite it and potentially convene a special meeting of the Public Health and of the Police and Fire Commission in order to get that to happen. It's a rarity that there's people available to us that check every single box, and in this particular case, that might happen. And if it does, I will bring that forward to all of you so you can help guide us through that process. Any questions on that? And then I'll turn it over to Captain Seiler. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Morning, Captain Seiler.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. So I'll start with our records division. So we're happy to report that we did fill our admin 2 position that we had approved, and that's that split position with the fire department. That process started back in February. We had 60 some applicants initially to HR, which is really great. Whittled that down to 38 about that we did face-to-face, or not face-to-face, but virtual video interviews with all those persons to give them an opportunity to speak with us. From there, we got down to 8 individuals that we did face-to-face interviews at the police department with that joint panel with Wausau Police and Wausau Fire representatives as part of that. So we did select Noelle Kelsenberg is going to be our new admin 2 for that position. She is slated to start April 1st. And we did do a eligibility list to take the next 2 persons on that list to fill any future vacancies within the next 6 months. So we're happy with all 3 of those persons could do the job. We did manage to create some additional space in our records division to create another cubicle space in there to fit that extra person. And they'll also have space over at the fire department as well to assist them. With that, one of the challenges, as you've probably heard about, has been open records and maintaining that, which is one of the reasons why we asked for the new position to assist with impacting the mass of open records that we get, to include the challenges that come with audio and video redaction when requesters want that squad video or the body camera video that we so commonly have, especially when there's multiple officers on scene. That can be a lot of video to redact and go through. So that requires a lot of time on our staff to do that. So with that, legislature with Senate Bill 789 did pass here just recently, and that does allow law enforcement agencies to charge requesters for that direct time our staff is spending to redact video and audio. There are some exceptions for it, but in general, the highlights are that we can charge the rate of the lowest paid employee who's capable of doing that work. Right now, that's just north of $23 an hour for that work. This month, to implement that, we have to update our processes, including our open records request forms, so that we notify the public of these new requirements and if and when we can charge them for it. It does require us that upfront process. If we are going to be charging them, we have to provide them a written estimate before that. So that requires a little bit more time. When you get that video request, we have to actually go through it initially to determine how many minutes or hours of video pertain to that request so that we can provide them an estimate. The context for the bill was it takes approximately 1.5 hours of staff time for every hour of video to redact, because it's actually going through it, taking the time to stop, make notes, do the redaction work within the tool that we have, and to do all the record keeping for that. So for instance, if someone requested 4 hours of body camera video, that charge would end up being for about 6 hours of staff time, $140 for that 4 hours potentially. But with that, it's going to require more communication between us and the requesters, just to kind of explain the process to them, help them maybe nail down what it is they're really looking for. Instead of all video for this case, maybe we can have some communication about what it is that you're looking for, so that we can meet in the middle, hopefully meet their needs without having to charge too much or be able to fulfill their request. Just be aware that that doesn't apply to all requests. So if the person is involved in that case, if it's the defendant or their attorney, we can't charge them ever. They always have access to that for free. So that's going to be a large share of them anyhow. What this bill really impacts is people that are looking to obtain that video and use it for profit ventures, persons looking to use that video for their social media site or channel and to profit for that. So we can charge those persons for the most part. Any other citizen who's just curious, they're not involved in the case, they can still get it for free up to 10 requests per calendar year. So the bill was limited, so not charging for everything, but it does help us with some of those larger requests from, say, out-of-state requesters for social media and the like. Any questions on that new piece while we're here?
Do we have systems that automate this and make it easier to bill and to do your request?
Sure. I mean, that's part of what we're doing right now, is coming up with that matrix, looking at, we might be, we're the first into this, really, looking for how other agencies are doing it around the state. But a couple methods of either going with that flat 1.5 hours per hour of video that we have and just throwing that out there as a flat fee, as the matrix that we're going to put out there for as a written estimate. But then also there's the next request system that the city's implemented here at City Hall. So we're in the process of implementing that with our staff right now. So we have that new system. We do think this will play into that and will speed up our overall process. Now we have this new admin person starting, so we're going to get everyone on board to get trained and up to speed on that new next request. It's an electronic system that helps us process open records a little bit faster and track them.
Is the state helping in any of this stuff?
Is the state?
Yeah.
I hope so. I'm optimistic that we're part of WILEAG, or the Wisconsin Accreditation Group, that through, they're usually in that realm of coming forward with the best practices and procedures for doing this. So we have a new law that comes into effect. I'm sure there's going to be some cases that challenge some of it and the circumstances and the nuances of it. So we hope that WILEAG and or Wisconsin DOJ will come forward with some best practices. We're kind of in that position. Well, we have some requests now that are going to be pretty work heavy that we'd like to charge for. That we're going to implement this process, but we hope that the AG's office maybe gives some best recommendations on it as well.
Good. Thank you.
Next, community resource officer or community resource unit. We were down for a couple months here. We had 2 of our members there got promoted to patrol lieutenants. That was Lieutenant Carr and Lieutenant Meyer and Fish. Those 2 were both promoted out of the Crow unit. So we're down to just 2 in there for a while. Mike Grund was our most recent addition. He started in January, and then John Shear just started last week. So we're full in the community resource officer unit again after a couple months down. As far as training, there was another bill passed, SB 209, which increased the reimbursement annually to police agencies in the state. So we're very grateful for that. It's been $160 per officer per year that we've been reimbursed by the state for many years. I think it's been almost 20 years that's been the rate. They finally saw fit to up that. They doubled it to $320 per officer per year that we reimbursed, which for us, that equates to about $12,500 extra to provide for our officers training. So that passed finance a week or so ago to add that to our training budget. So glad to have that because we continue to do more and more training. Real briefly, this is to include the new Taser 10 that our staff just got their initial training on 2 weeks ago. So this is the first real evolution in how a Taser device functions that since this was introduced. I think in 2006 we had the initial Taser. I was here for that when we first got it. The functionality of the device and how the officer uses it has remained the same up until this point. So this is really a new evolution that we've had to train new operation, how it functions, new habits, new muscle memory. So there's just a training magazine in here right now. So just real quickly, I can show you. It does have a much different look to it. This is just a training red magazine in here, but now it's a full magazine that actually has 10 cartridges in it. So the prior function had 2 cartridges that fired simultaneously, and if you're lucky enough, you hit in the right areas or through clothing, that it actually had its desired effect. This device now you have up to 10 tries, but the initial dart that goes in does not deliver any electricity. Actually requires 2 trigger pulls to pull that fire the second round to actually create the connection to create the desired effect. If the second round misses, you have 3 or 4 to maybe hit the subject, splitting the belt line, torso, and leg areas to try to get what we're looking for. The biggest advantage is the prior device only had about a 10 to 15 foot effective range, which again, it kind of limited the scenarios where we could use it. This device almost doubles that. So it's pretty accurate at almost 40 feet. So that really gives our officers an advantage when we're encountering someone who's actively trying to harm themselves or others. That's probably from here to the back of the room that we have an effective distance to keep the subject and the officer safe. And as we've trained with this, it's very accurate to deliver that first and second round and third and fourth if you need to, if you miss in the second one to get the desired effect. So any questions on that?
I'm just
Yes.
curious. I have been tased. It's not fun,
No, it's not. Yeah, me too.
but not because I was a criminal. Just to be clear,
Sure.
that's probably good. But how often do you actually use a taser? How often is it used?
Well, thankfully, just the presenting of it often has the desired effect, right? So just the presence, so drawing it out and having the warning go off, the audible warning, which this has a new system for that as well. So it's louder, has a flashing light to give that person a warning to give up and not have us use this. So it's used in that way quite a bit and gets the desired effect. Actual deployment, I want to say last year in a given year, it's a dozen or less. About that. I think this will, there's more opportunities to use this just from the distance wise and being able to, we have that person wielding a weapon that's not a firearm, a bat or a knife, things like that, where from a distance, we can end that a lot quicker with this compared to the other taser. If you're more than 20 feet away, the other taser would be really pretty ineffective, especially if they're wearing clothing and just the probe spread of that single shot. So this gives us a lot more opportunity. You can hear it if you'd like. So.
Sure.
So it has again, these are all just plastic rounds in here, but there's your targeting device. It can deliver a warning. So it is pretty loud. And then once you have probes in, even from that distance, from further away, if you need to, while officers are trying to get up there and have that opportunity to go cuff the person if needed, you can re-energize the electrodes while they're still in the person as well. But so each cartridge, and they are serialized. Each one has its own firing mechanism within it. Doesn't look like this. They're silver, obviously, and have a little dart in them. But these obviously have a much better technology too as far as tracking. So I was really impressed with looking on the data side of it. So these batteries, when you pull the battery out, you dock it just like your body camera, and it has just minute amount of data on everything from the angle at which it was raised, when it's pulled out of the holster, how many seconds electricity is being delivered. That's just the surface of it, but it does track a lot of information that does get downloaded and can be used in any use of force analysis.
Is standard issued to all officers as standard equipment as a weapon?
Yes, every officer, including our plainclothes like detectives and community resource officers, all will be issued their own. They all have that. So the holsters are a little bit bigger too, so there's a little cost with that, but this was part of the Axon contract with their body cameras and their fleet cameras as well.
Do you have those in schools?
Our school resource officers have them, yes. And I'm thankfully, just thinking back to my prior role as a supervisor since 2016, I think we went down this road, but I don't think we had not deployed Taser on any juveniles in the school during that time. Again, it could have been produced as a presence tool, but we don't want this to replace officers' de-escalation tools in terms of their voice and their building rapport with people.
All right.
That's all I have for you. Let's see if you have any other questions.
All right. Well, then, thank you, Captain Seiler, and thank you, Chief Barnes. Appreciation from the commission.
Thank you much.
All right. The next meeting will be scheduled for Monday, April 22nd at 7:30 a.m. Is there any further discussion? If not, may I please have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We are now adjourned. Thank you.